Ryan Poles got to work in the first day of free agency, setting the groundwork for what he's going to do in the rest of free agency and the draft. We're going to talk about day one of free agency, what it means for the Bears, and what it tells us about what Ryan Poles may do with the rest of free agency. We're going to get into all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
All right, Bears fans, welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central. You guys ain't going to catch me slipping today, but you guys can follow me right off the top at CEO Haize, that's CEO Haize. And we had a fun first day of free agency. Did Ryan Poles do everything that Bears fans wanted? No, it was never going to happen at all in the first day of free agency either. And even though he made an initial signing with TJ Edwards early on, he left us waiting for a handful of hours before making another deal, then signing Tremaine Edmonds and a guard. So we're going to talk about all those deals. We're going to go over the contracts now that we have the details of that. When we went live after the signings yesterday, we didn't always have all the details. You know, shout out to LA Brand and others who put those contract details in those videos. But we're going to talk about it today and just talk about what Ryan Poles really did in the first day of free agency. So first signing that we started off today, that yesterday with, and that was an early signing in free agency as that period opened, was TJ Edwards. Now, this is a linebacker who went undrafted, who played in Wisconsin. Wait a second, doesn't that sound like somebody we have? Oh yeah, Jack Sanborn, who actually was a collegiate teammate with TJ Edwards. We signed TJ Edwards for a 3-year deal worth $19.5 million, $12 million guaranteed, and this was the first step in Ryan Poles completely rehauling our linebacker core. I've talked about it a lot in the last few episodes of the fact that the only returning starting linebacker that we were bringing back as of that point was Jack Sanborn. And I had talked about that there was a chance of Nicholas Morrow returning to this team, but TJ Edwards probably takes all of that away unless they bring back Nicholas Morrow as a depth piece, which I doubt. I think he's going to go out and be able to find a pretty good deal. But now you bring in a player that's slated to be your middle linebacker. This moves Jack Sanborn, his former collegiate teammate, to the strong side linebacker, and this was the first move that Ryan Poles made. Now, after this move, there was a couple of hours until we got the next one, which left some Bears fans panicking. But Edwards, who's 26 years old, he's going to be a building block of this young defense. We're paying him $19.5 million over 3 years with $12 million guaranteed. That's way less than what we were paying Roquan Smith. We'll talk about what in that comparison overall. So we got a player that we did not overspend. That's going to come in, bring some things that we do need. He's started 47 of 61 games since he went undrafted and came to the Philadelphia Eagles. So again, durability is one of the big things that Ryan Poles does like to bring to this team. And so, in 2022, he had 150 tackles, 10 tackles for a loss, 7 passes defended, and 5 quarterback hits and 2 sacks, and 6 tackles. So, this is what it brings in a solid linebacker. We still have to do some other things in that front seven to maximize on this, but this was a good first move, in my opinion, for Ryan Poles. Not much money, not long-term contract. So if signing does not go well, you can get out of this contract pretty easily. I like what they did here with the signing of TJ Edwards, a really solid first signing. Next up was Nate Davis, and we actually went live to talk about Nate Davis, and right before we clicked the live button is when the Tremaine Edmonds signing was announced, but we got Nate Davis, who's going to be projected to be a guard on that offensive line that may move Tevin Jenkins back to his natural position of a tackle. We signed him for a 3-year deal. This is a pretty solid team-friendly deal as well. Yes, he had some injury concerns as well, but other than that, he played 12 games. He comes in. He only allowed 14 QB pressures last season. He has 54 starts at right guard for the Tennessee Titans over the last 4 seasons. And so, with Justin Fields taking a league-high 55 sacks last season, bringing him in for a modest contract that's pretty solid up there, not long-term money, moves Tevin Jenkins probably back to the tackle position where, that was his natural position where he initially started off at. This is another solid deal for Ryan Poles that I look at and say, hey, we addressed the pass protection that we need to, but because we didn't go out and haven't got an Orlando Brown Jr. or anything like that as of yet, this could mean and paint that the Bears are going to go maybe offensive line in free agency. Now, again, that's kind of thinking pie in the sky type thing. We'll see what it eventually ends up meaning, but I do like this deal for the Chicago Bears. I like what they brought him in for. I like them going after and getting a guy who did not give up a lot of pressures, who's going to come in and help in the areas that you do need him to help in. Still not as clean of a fit, right? I want to make sure that I do point out it's not one of those things where we got our offensive lineman that's just out of this world. We got a very solid offensive lineman that projects to come in, do some of the things that we absolutely need for sure. He got a 3-year deal for $30 million with 19.25 million guaranteed. Solid money for our offensive lineman that comes in, still a very young player, fits that timeline for the Chicago Bears. Come in, again, do a lot of the things that we need, and brings a lot of those, to help improve. It's not done. This can't be it that we do on the offensive line, but it is a good first step in that area that we can bring in. Nate Davis is going to project. He's going to be a really solid guard for us. He's going to do well in pass and run protection. Again, I know there's definitely some signs of improvement that he needs in the pass protection. But he's not terrible in that area, right? So, again, not as maybe the signing that we would have liked to see. He's only played one full season. And he's missed 8 games the past 2 seasons. So that is something that you want to look out for as well. He missed a career high games of 5 last season as well. So again, some signs for concern there. Like I said, not necessarily the exact move that we wanted to see, but it is a very good one on top of everything else that we did that we can bring. But then we got the cream of the crop, the biggest move that Ryan Poles did make yesterday, and that is signing linebacker Tremaine Edmonds. Now he comes in, he's going to be our weak side linebacker. We got him on a 4-year deal for $72 million with $50 million guaranteed. And so you bring in a player that comes in that's going to be our will linebacker. We already got our Mike linebacker. We have our strong side linebacker already in Jack Sanborn, who's going to slide over to there. But right now we've completely remade our linebacker core versus what we came into the season last with. Edmonds is still only 24 years old as well. Going to be a solid there. He's solid run defender. He's improved hugely in his coverage defense as well. We're getting a player that's going to come in, that's going to bring some size that we need. Has a good frame. He's solid. He's a beast. He's going to help lead that defense absolutely. And so the way that he goes side to side on defense as well, the way he plays in protection, it's definitely going to help us. So even though Tremaine Edmonds had a terrific 2022 year, and so, coming in, now we have Edmonds, our linebacker core is set. We get to do that. We have that core set. We still need to do some things in the trenches areas of things, but, we'll see. Tremaine Edmonds he misses some tackles, right, at times. And again, he has some issues with over pursuit at times, even though he's drastically improved it, especially in last season. But this is a guy that many Bears fans, me included, did not think that we would be able to get, especially not for the money they were able to get him for. We were able to get him for less than what we would have had to re-sign Roquan Smith for, and you get similar production, albeit a better scheme fit. That's the biggest thing with Tremaine Edmonds. He comes in and he's slated to be a perfect scheme fit for what Matt Eberflus and this team wants to do on defense, and we have now set our linebacker core. Don't have to worry about it. When you add to that we don't have to now worry about our secondary either. Wide receivers are done. We still need to do some work on the defense and offensive line. This was a pretty good first day for Ryan Poles, but then right when we thought Ryan Poles was done for the day, when we were wrapping it up for the night, around 10:30 Eastern Standard Time last night, Ryan Poles, they announced that they signed defensive end DeMarcus Walker. Now, this is a guy who has played tackle and defensive end. So technically we can call him a defensive lineman, but he did most of his damage at defensive end last season. So we're bringing him in, another player from the Titans as well. We get him for 3 years, $21 million deal. It was initially announced as something less than that, but solid deal again for a player that he would come in and immediately he would have led the Chicago Bears in sacks, QB pressures, all in areas that we need. He would have led the team in that, albeit with 7 sacks last season. So we go out, we get a player that brings a skill set that we need. We still think that we're going to have to do huge work on that defensive line as well. But at least bringing in DeMarcus Walker now, you get a player that has shown a propensity to be able to get to the quarterback, put pressure on the quarterback, all things that we need. Solid player. Is a little bit older, of course, right? And that's fine. Not everybody's going to be young that we bring in here. He's 28, 6'4", 280 pounds. This guy's going to be a monster on the defensive line for us, especially if we continue to improve that defensive line, albeit in the draft, albeit in free agency. So overall, for day one of free agency, I'm giving Ryan Poles a solid A+. He came in, he did what needed to be done. He took care of business in areas that we needed to, but the work is not done. And I know a lot of Bears fans getting a little anxious. Keep in mind, and this is something that I've said on almost every live stream where we talk to you guys on, is that we're not going to fill every hole this offseason. And some Chicago Bears fans list every single thing that we need, and we may not do that. And so just keep in mind that everything that we need is not going to be addressed this offseason unless Ryan Poles just definitely is a genius, but there are definitely still going to be some holes that we need to fill or some positions that we may have to address more longer term in next offseason or whatever. But he's setting the groundwork, and I love the groundwork that Ryan Poles is setting in day one of free agency. We're still not done. We are still not done. We still have more money, cap space left than what most teams came in to free agency with. So the Chicago Bears still have the ability. Orlando Brown Jr., to my knowledge, at least of this recording, is still out there. I don't know if the Bears are going to spend that amount of money on him. But again, where do things have happened? You never know what Ryan Poles is going to do or what he has up his sleeve. But this has been a great start to free agency for Ryan Poles. And I do think that it's now left a better taste in many Bears fans' mouth. It's now more so set that clear path of what they think the Bears are going to do. And Bears fans needed that. Whether right or wrong, Bears fans needed, and shout out to my guy Mike, he knows who he is, just needed to see this Bears team pick a path and go in a direction that showed that they were focused on improving the things that we need to focus. There are still some key free agents out there that the Bears could target. For example, the Bears could still target Orlando Brown on that offensive line or the offensive tackle. Caleb McGarry is still somebody that the Bears could focus on and go out as well. So those are still out there. Yannick Ngakoue, I always mispronounce his name. He's still out there as well, to my knowledge. So there are still absolutely players out there that the Bears can go out and target today in free agency that would still help fix a lot of the things that the Bears do need, even with the cornerback. A lot of Bears fans still mention the quarterback. Shaquille Griffin is another player out there that the Bears could do for that. Another offensive tackle, Donovan Smith with the Buccaneers, another one that we could bring in the running back situation. We still need to start seeing that, figuring out where we're going to go in that. I think once a David Montgomery signing is announced, whether it's with the Bears or with another team, that's going to try to start getting that picture together for us as well. But, it is what it is. This is what free agency is, and this is what it's going to be. And Ryan Poles, I think, is going to still have, I don't know if it's going to be as splashy of a signing. We don't know what's going to happen in day two, but I still do expect the Bears to get to work. And their name's going to be involved in a lot of these talks and conversations for these other players, so look out for it. Bears fans, we have a front office. We have a front office that is building. We have someone that has a vision on the type of team that they want to build, and they're going out and executing. Ryan Poles is putting his stamp on this team and building the team that him and Matt Eberflus have a vision for. We'll see what those results are when we get to the season, but at least for our first day, opening free agency, players still can't even technically sign deals right now until Wednesday. We have a lot, and we haven't lost many of our own free agents either. Like I said, David Montgomery still out there as well. Nicholas Morrow, if we do want to bring him back, if he doesn't go out and get a deal, we bring him back as a depth piece. We can do a lot worse than that, right? Some players that I don't necessarily want to see back. We got Sam Mustipher as a restricted free agent. Byron Pringle still out there. But again, we have a lot of work that we can still remain and do for this team, and I cannot wait to see what this team does. Ryan Poles has set the palette, has set the plate and table very well for us to continue launching off here in this offseason. Let me know down below, how do you guys feel about day one in free agency for the Chicago Bears? Who are some free agent targets you would still like to see the Chicago Bears go after that are out there and available? And then, and what do you think about this team? Do you still think, and that may be the question of the day, with what happened and now the weapons that we're building on offense, do you think it's more or less likely than David Montgomery coming back to the Chicago Bears? But that is it for us for today. Make sure you're following the show at Chi Bears Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, you want to leave a text message and or voicemail for our Friday mailbag episodes. The number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I think I made it through a whole episode without saying Bulls, and you guys can stop killing me in the comments. It's all fun. I love you guys, man. Like I like to end every episode on, bear down. Love you guys, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.